everyone. I am Jennelle and Lara, and we are the Group 1. Our group assigned to search 2 articles. So, for our first article, entitled Sustainable Agriculture in the Philippines, Improving Household Food Security. And for our second article, we have Landscape and Livelihoods, the promotion and adoption of conservation farming system in the Philippine Uplands. These two articles will explain how can we achieve sustainable agriculture and urban farming. The first article was conducted in Barangay Suwa, Masantol, Pampanga, Philippines. Through immersion, surveys, field trials, actual observation, and focus group discussion with the farmers, results revealed that impaldering created an upland microenvironment, improved accessibility to irrigation water, integrated fish into the rice crop, served as seedbed, improved the sustainability of rice production, impounded fresh water, and increased utilization of farm resources. Impaldering reduced the vulnerability of farmers to annual flooding and saline intrusion and opened various socio-economic opportunities in farming through crop diversification and intensification. Most notable is the rice, fish, vegetable crops farming system that shows socio-economic impact and tangible improvement in household food security of farming families in Barangay Suwa. It increased income, food availability, accessibility, and quality, prominent work opportunities, and other benefits. This farming system could help farmers attain their goals in farming. With increased income, part of it could either be invested in farm or non-farm income generating activities and further improve long-term household food security and meet other needs in life.
For the first half of the discussion, the study conducted in Barangay Suwa, Masantol, Pampanga, which is located in the lowermost part of the Pampanga that serves as an ultimate catch basin of water coming from all rivers and elevated areas connected directly or indirectly to the Pampanga River. Since farmers depend entirely on the Pampanga River for water use in irrigating farmlands, anything that can adversely affect the quantity and the quality of water can also affect the productivity of farms. The farmers in Barangay Suwa encountered two problems. The first one is flooding and the second one is the saline water. Flooding during the rainy season, which hinders them from growing rice crops and making them harvest fish early. The second one is saline water intrusion. Saline water intrusion is the flow of seawater into the freshwater bodies like rivers or aquifers due to natural processes that may cause damage to agriculture. Saline water intrusion from the sea to the Pampanga River occurs during the dry season because of high temperature, lack of rainfall, and greater evaporation of water. This condition creates a way for saline water to flow into the Pampanga River and eventually to the farmlands. That causes low grain yield of rice, slow growth rate, and worse death of fish like tilapia due to salinity of water.
Faced with uncertainty in agricultural production as a result of annual flooding and saline water intrusion problems, farmers knew that such constraints should be removed through a creative and innovative method that would provide them with tools and strategies to increase production and income. Such a method took the form of farm landscape modification through impaldering. This provided the main framework of minimizing the adverse effects of flooding and saline water intrusion and their consequential negative outcome of poverty and food insecurity. Work was done based on a trench pond design characterized by digging and removal of soil at the peripheral areas around the rice field. The soil was dumped on the dikes. Such operations were repeatedly made until the farmer's desired height and width of the dikes are attained. While it definitely solved their problem with flooding and silent water intrusion, let's discuss how empoldering benefited the farmers. First is health and safety. This is one of the most notable opportunities a farmer could get with an empoldered cropland. Food safety and people's health are assured since it reduces toxic effects of chemical pesticides on people and resources. Growing fish with rice is an important factor in their decision to reduce pesticides sprayed on rice to avoid harming the fish. Tilapia can feed on growing weeds, so the use of herbicides was thereby reduced, at times prevented. Farmers believe that the rice, fish, vegetable crop technology option can enhance their health, as they associate rice with physical strength and energy, fish, meat for growth, and vegetables for long life. So having all of them on the table as food, they believe would provide all the ingredients needed for a healthy life. Additionally, the incorporation of tilapia into the farming systems could help in controlling mosquito larvae which are eaten by them then to later become a vector of organisms causing diseases such as malaria and dengue fever and making it a safe place for the residential area for farmers as well. Next is cost and income. It also helps increase the overall cost, and return analysis showed that rice, fish, vegetable crops, and rice fish farming systems had higher total net income than when rice alone was grown. Employment. It also helps increase employment because it will take a lot of men to take care of all the crops, vegetables, and fish respectively. Accessibility. The adaptability of vegetable crops gardening in dikes was due to the immediate accessibility and availability of water for irrigation. Water is just a few feet away, thereby reducing time and effort in watering. Lastly, food security. Empowering improved food security for farming families in terms of availability, physical, economic, and social access, diversity, and safety. Dependency on rice alone is also a cause of food insecurity, especially when the crop is destroyed by flooding and salinity. Food is physically and readily available right on the farm, especially with increased production. It is a sign of improved and direct access to food sources. Diversification into higher value products like fish and vegetables, and the added value of processed food by fermentation or and drying increase dietary diversity. This is a good indicator of the access dimension of household from food security.
The second article is entitled Landcare and Livelihoods, the Promotion and Adoption of Conservation Farming Systems in the Philippine Uplands. The article tackles a major problem with slow adoption and conservation of farming systems in the Philippine Uplands. Adoption in terms of changes in crop yields, soil fertility, soil loss, planting of fruit trees, and use of fertilizers. It is a study about the Landcare program in Barangay NED located at Southern Mindanao. Before the implementation of the Landcare system, Barangay NED was severely limited in terms of livelihood resources such as physical, social, financial, and human capital, which led to depletion of natural capital. The NED Landcare programs aims to further improve the human capital through practical and farmer-led trainings, which enables the farmer to incorporate agroforestry and soil conservation technologies in their farming systems. The farmers are aware of soil conservation, but due to lack of knowledge and means to combat it, sloping land, high clay content, and land clearance due to cultivation and logging makes the erosion a very troublesome issue. The training was mainly technical, dealing with contour farming, vegetable production, and propagation. The NED Landcare program also aims for livelihood security and environmental sustainability. The program was associated with rapid adoption of conservation farming systems and practices. It also gave the farmers access to new livelihood enhancing opportunities through their interest in soil conservation. And that's all for the summary of the Article 2. For further discussion, Miss Tolentino and Miss Quiñones will discuss more about the second article.
So to continue, agricultural land degradation in the densely populated, steeply sloping upland regions of the Philippines has been recognized as a major environmental problem in the past 3 decades, with significant on-site and off-site impacts. Conservation farming systems have been developed, such as the widely promoted but sustained uptake by farmers has been limited. In recent years, interest has focused on the potential of the Landcare approach to enhance the development, dissemination, and adoption of appropriate conservation farming measures. They help improve the management of their soil, water, vegetation, and other natural resources. It is widely held that this is a more effective strategy for achieving adoption of sustainable farming practices than strategies involving government regulation or the top-down transfer of technology. The Landcare program is funded by the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research, or the ACIAR. It is in Mindanao in the southern Philippines, particularly in Barangay Ned, part of Lake Cebu, municipality in the province of South Cotabato, is of particular interest because it has been faced with extremely difficult conditions, has received minimal outside support, and thus indicates perhaps the basic requirements for achieving an accelerated impact on upland farming systems in the Philippines. They promote soil conservation, innovations among farmers, and test the effectiveness of the Landcare approach as a tool to enhance the adoption of conservation practices suited to the needs of upland farming communities in the Philippines. The impact of Landcare was to be evaluated in terms of the adoption of conservation practices and the effect of these practices on natural resources, and second, the relevance of the approach as a model for local and regional extension services. That is, the project was interested in the adoption of both Landcare technologies and Landcare processes and institutions, notably the formation and development of Landcare groups and networks. These impacts were seen to be critical to the achievement of the longer-term outcomes of rural poverty reduction and environmental conservation. So, in short, sustainable rural livelihoods.
I'm Antonette Tolentino and I'm here to continue the discussion. According to the article, it is widely held that the Landcare approach is more effective strategy for achieving adoption of sustainable farming practices than strategies involving government regulation or the top-down transfer of technology. Landcare approach can give a lot of benefits to the farmers and to community in conservation farming and sustainable agriculture. However, achieving such great results from this approach demands social bonds, individuals' cooperation, time, and systematic approach to the agriculture problems. Basically, a high social capital. Barangay Ned thus provided a formidable challenge for the Landcare program. Realistically, they have poor accessibility and lack of security, which hinder development until the early 1980s. There is a little non-farm employment in the barangay, and also there is increasing population density. Farmers were poor with little education, while mostly of them is inexperienced of this upland environment and not highly organized. There is also a severe limitation on the site. However, sites have considerable agricultural potential. The Landcare program could expect to generate a positive response among farmers. Well, through the formation of Landcare groups assisted members to learn about and implement conservation, those farmers who joined Landcare groups did so primarily to access training, technical advice, and assistance. While a few Landcare groups developed a dynamism of their own, most groups became less active once members had been assisted to contour their farms. Some groups disbanded because of internal conflicts or external change. The Landcare program was to enhance the human capital of the farming population through practical, farmer-led training and extension. The study found that the Landcare program in Barangay NED has been associated with rapid adoption of simple conservation farming practices, especially natural vegetative strips and the rapid formation of local Landcare groups. The larger message from this study is the promotion of conservation farming systems in fragile and impoverished upland environments. Lastly, the larger message from the study is the promotion of conservation farming system in fragile and impoverished upland environments. We all know that it requires an approach that embraces sustainable rural livelihood both for local households and local communities. Well, it is important rather than narrowly focusing on the transfer of technology, like what I said in the first slide, and the imposition of environmental regulation. The availability of simple and well-adapted conservation practices is a key starting point. Program interventions such as the Landcare program that we all know invests in human and social capital is building the capacity of farmers and farming communities to identify and pursue the sustainable livelihood strategies, which is essential to achieving the twin goals of rural development and environment conservation, which is also important in sustainable agriculture. So thank you everyone. That is our discussion to the article entitled Landcare and Livelihoods, the Promotion and Adoption of Conservation Farming Systems in the Philippine Uplands.